Okay, so what we're going to talk about next is, we've already covered how to have a good holiday season. I don't want to, keep on and on about that. But let's talk about some things that I have been discovering about inventory, okay? And I went to Linda Tupin's boot camp, and one of we had assignments after the boot camp, and one of my assignments is to practice my inventory talk with 5 seasoned consultants, and to have their significant other or their mother or whoever is the one that makes the financial decisions along with them there present. So it's funny because I've been in Mary Kay 19 years, and I very rarely have the other person sit in on it. And I thought to myself, well, that's intimidating. Okay, I can try that. Having the man sit there with her and listen to me talk about $3,000. Okay. However, I understood the concept because when we talk about this, you'll see what happens. So I want you to know that I still have fears. I mean, they're still there. So I scheduled the 5 people, and I'm pretty much done, but I'm going to continue doing it. And so my first people were you. My first people were you and your husband. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we booked it to do it in person, which I prefer in person because I like to be in person, especially when I'm talking about money like this. It needs to be in person. I think it's respectable to do it that way. And if they're out of town or not physically where we can get together, to FaceTime or do something, okay? So I went with the intentions of training. Like, I've got to train. I've got to learn how to say this because I know how to say it, but I learned a lot of little techniques from her. Of course, she makes about $30,000 a month. I figured she knew what she was talking about. So that's her average. I learned a lot of little techniques that I wanted to throw in there, and I said, now I'm going to stumble, so y'all just bear with me. And I told them that, I really want to do this on training purposes because I want Nikki to learn what I'm saying to her new team members, okay, and how to coach them after she hears me. Because if she doesn't know what I'm saying, how's she going to coach her new recruit, right? And then I want her husband to learn how the Mary Kay thing works, in a sense, So we went through inventory, okay? So what I do is I have them take this Ready, Set, Sell brochure. So they have one, and I have one, and they have a pen, and then we go through each page. So it's interesting that you've been in so long, you probably don't know, but the biggest order is $3,600 right now. I don't think it's enough. I mean, not with time-wise repair. You think about how much repair is and how many, like if you got 5 or 10 of them.
It's going to go fast.
I mean, that stocks up. And then you got to get color, then you got to get other skincares. It's like it adds up quick. So new consultants don't understand that. Okay, it's a whole new ballgame. But when you're in for a little while, don't you kind of get it? You're like, wait a minute, I need some more stuff. I don't have anything. So what we did was we went through each package and we talked about it. And by midway, and I'm going to use you as an example because you said I could, is your husband said, wait a minute now. Okay, and I saw the light bulbs go off. It was pretty fun. I thought, okay, this is cool. So he said, okay, so what you're saying is this is how many people at service. Because I would go through and I would talk about this is 36 customers. And I would tell him why. I told him everything about why we do this, why we do that, why you get free product, what we do with the free product. We sell it, make 100% profit. We go through each one. And by midway, he's like, if you had sat with me in the beginning, and we would have not just started with 600. We would have done way more. And I said, okay. I said, well, we can fix that. Okay. So I was like, okay. So we kept going, and he got it, and we went through the ways to find money, because I had 8 ways to find money. I went through that with him. And you talked about how frustrated you were. You've shown him that what you're doing is you're going and you're selling product and you're ordering, and you're selling product and you're ordering. And it's almost like you're like, am I making any money? I mean, you are, but you're like making this vicious cycle of, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. And I have realized that I have not been 110% confident in this area to be able to set my consultants up for success. Because what I'm doing is I'm creating failure for them. And I don't take full responsibility for it, but I do take some of it. Because I know that we're all individual people who we can, take care of our own selves. However, if I don't guide her with full confidence that she can do this, I'd rather her come in with a full store and take a chance, right? because she can get 90% of her money back. Versus come in with $600 and be frustrated, or $225, which is nothing. Come in and be so frustrated and never really make the money she wanted to make, because she said she's going to do this as a career, and now she's coming in with $600. That ain't a career.
And they have to order more stuff because they may not have the inventory of what the customers need.
Exactly. So she's going to a party. She doesn't have everything they need. She goes home. She places the order. Then she's got to deliver it to them. And then her profit's lower because she's just making this rat race. And she's frustrated. And then her husband's like, where's the money? And she's like, well, I'll put it back in to order more product. Right?
Yes.
So, yeah. So I'm like, you know what? And he saw that. And he said, let's start over. So we did 2,400. And we started over. And man, that feels good for you, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because she has product on hand. He knows why she needs it now. He understands the whole concept of why she needs that much. Because he said, honestly, I didn't know. I thought when she said 600, I was like, that's a lot of money. And he goes, and now I see it is nothing. And that was my first practice one. Okay? So I thought, well, Little Tupin has something going here. This is working. Okay. So, but, you know, I see the whole thing. Now, is there anything else you want to add to what you guys, what clicked for y'all?
He just mentioned, he's like, you know, whatever you told me about inventory, he's like, 600 seemed like $6,000 when I first started. And he's like, you wouldn't explain it the way Leanne explained it. He's like, the way Leanne said it, it made perfect sense. And he's like, I bet that $600 of first inventory is sitting on our wall in our bathroom right now. And I'm like, you're probably right.
Because you're using it.
Yeah, it's personal use.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
personal
it is.
use. I talked about that was a personal use. It's enough for your bathroom, your mom, and a sister. That's a personal use. Right?
And those are 3 bathrooms that I'm sure that first 600 is sitting in.
Yep, it is. Absolutely. It is. So, y'all probably see this, that if you came in with a full store and you started out with a loan or a credit card that had no interest or whatever, low interest on it, but the loan is the ideal way to go if you can, and you had a payment plan, right? It would discipline you to sell the product, pay that loan off as you're going, and have inventory and make profit too. Because you make profit when you have a full inventory, right? You're making profit, you're excited, everyone's happy. We got Christmas coming up, you got full inventory, and you can make 12 days of Christmas. And you don't hesitate. You don't go, I'm probably not going to call that person because I just don't have enough on my shelf. And then you don't make money, right? Yeah, that happens. So that was eye-opening for me. I did this with Andy, who we're getting video with. And Andy, I hope I got permission from you to talk about this. I think I did. So we FaceTimed, and I know her husband pretty well, and so that was fun. By the end of the conversation, he said, this is way different than what she was telling me. Okay? So she didn't do it on purpose. She didn't know that. Y'all don't know that you're communicating to your husband a different way, and I'm flat out telling him how it is. And I'm telling him what the money is and how much you need and why you need it. And she just never knew how to explain that. Because she started with $1,200, and she doesn't have enough. And then she finished her star because she invested, because she had a great party, and he's like, where's the money?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I said, here's the deal. I said, I guarantee you, and tell me if I'm right. I talked to her husband, I said, tell me if I'm right. If she proves to you with her activity that you would let her get more inventory, he said, absolutely. So we have a deal. We've got to increase our activity, which she's doing great, to be able to trust, because we've got to prove to them that we can do this, right? We've got to prove it to them, because they've got to see the money. They do. So we've got to prove it to them. Now, the other thing is she wasn't paying herself anything, so now I said, we've got to pay ourselves back something. Come on now. So you got to put that money back into savings or pay yourself. So now that we see some money coming in, it's going to be better. So see, there's 3 things that make a man happy. Money, food, and you know what else. Okay? And if you can fulfill those things, you ain't going to have no problem. Okay? Honestly, that's the bottom line. Because if you're coming to a meeting every week, week in, week out, and you're not making any profit, it's okay if that's what you want, because it can be a great hobby. Okay? And I talked about that. I talked about the difference between a hobby and a business. Okay? So what did we come in for? We came in to make a business. Okay? So a business makes money. A hobby, what? Costs money. Okay? Here's the good thing though. So I talked about taxes with Andy and her husband. I said, have you filed your taxes yet with your Mary Kay? No, not yet. Okay, I said, do you have a good accountant? Well, we have so-and-so. I said, okay, here's my reference. I want you to go to her because I would like for you to make sure that whoever's doing your taxes with Mary Kay knows the Mary Kay business, because if they don't, you're not going to get money back. But if you do everything right and she does your taxes and you follow what she says, you could probably be guaranteed anywhere from $1,000 or more back on your taxes if he has a job and you're doing Mary Kay. Okay? Guaranteed. It will come back to you. And guess what you could do with that money? You could buy inventory or pay off that loan with that cash that you come back on your taxes. Okay? So if you invest more product, that's a tax write-off, because if you have any interest, did y'all know that? Did you know interest on your inventory is tax deductible too? Because it's a business. So all those things can come back. I said that's important for you to know that too. Where was I going with that? So we talked about the taxes. Golly, where was I going with that?
I don't know, but I got questions about that.
Okay, hang on one second. That if you have someone that guides you the right way and knows it the Mary Kay way in the tax field, that they could get you more money back at the end of the year. And that's great. Now, I wouldn't use the money that you got back from your Mary Kay business to pay for a vacation. I would pay off your loan. That's what I would do. Because then guess what? You have like a vacation, and then you still have this loan, and this is silly. And you got to pay off the loan, right, with the tax money you get back. But there was somewhere I was going with this. Dang it. Oh, so we talked about different ways. I mean, it's really cool to hear the men's perspective and how he trusts me more. There's more trust there now, because I'm not some Mary Kay lady talking his wife into spending all this money, you know. I told him about how my tactic is and what I believe in, and if she's not successful, neither am I. You know, we talked about the 90% guarantee. We talked about everything so that he is so clear on how this Mary Kay thing works. Okay. You have a question?
Yes. Do you file your personal tax with the same person, or do you file it separate?
Everything's the same with my same person. Yep. It's all together. So, because she knows what she's doing with that other stuff too. With Jonathan's UPS. It's easy. His is easy. His is real easy. So, the best year, we've gotten probably $5,000 back one year on our taxes. Maybe more than that. That was awesome. So see, you got to think about right now, I know hobby. Let me go back to that. Okay, so you got to think about, like, in your first so many years, you can do a lot of claims if you're not, like, you can take a loss for 3 years, basically. I don't know what the rule is in Georgia anymore. But it's a hobby or a business. That's where I was going. So a business means it makes you money. A hobby costs you money. I told him, I said, the good thing is, if she wants this to be a hobby, it's okay, if that's okay with you. Because everyone has a hobby, all right? What's your hobby? He said, golf. I said, this is someone else. And I said, okay, so is golf expensive? Yeah. Okay. Do you get to write it off on your taxes? No. So guess what? In Mary Kay, you can. Okay? Not only does she look good, she feels good, she's having fun, you're getting a write-off with a great hobby. Okay? But if that's not what she wants to do, she can turn it into a business, and then you can make some money. Okay? That's the great benefit of this, is it can be that way. And people don't look at it that way. They really don't. But you think about how much money a hobby can cost. They cost more than Mary Kay. You know, sometimes, like a lot of these hobbies that people are in and all that. And they have social outings and things like that too, but they don't get to have a tax benefit